Today's story is called The Island of Purple Fruits. A strange island. He swam ashore and then turned and watched his ship sink beneath the waves. But he did not despair. "I will build myself another boat to take me home," he said, "and I will also build a great fire that I will light to attract the attention of any ship that passes." So he got to work, and in the meantime he lived off the fruits and berries that grew there in abundance. On this island, however, there was one kind of fruit that he could never taste. It was large and purple, and it grew high up on the tallest of all the trees. The trunk of the tree was perfectly smooth and impossible to climb, but as he gazed up at those purple fruits, the sailor said to himself, "I am sure that those are the most delicious fruits on the island. I am going to taste them no matter what." So he stopped building his boat and built himself a ladder instead, which he leaned up against the tree. Then he climbed to the top, picked the fruit, and ate it. It tasted more delicious than anything else he had ever eaten in his life. And that night he dreamt a wonderful dream. He dreamt he had finished his boat and that it was a fine vessel with tall sails. On it, he sailed back in his dream across the vast ocean to his wife and children, and he was truly happy at last. When he woke up, he took another bite of the purple fruit and fell asleep again, and this time he dreamt that he built himself a suit of feathers, and in this suit he flew like a bird over the waters and over his home. And his wife and children came out and waved up at him, and he flew to the king's palace. And the king gave him jewels and gold and a fine house, where he lived with his family, and they were all truly happy. When he woke up, it was broad daylight, and there in the bay was a great big ship. "At last," he cried, "I'm saved." And he ran down to the shore and waved, but the ship was already well out to sea, and no one saw him. So he ran to his fire, but it had gone out, and before he could light it, the ship was but a speck on the horizon. The poor shipwrecked sailor sat down with his head in his hands in despair. Then he took another bite of the purple fruit, and once more he slept and dreamt that he was truly happy. Many months passed, and the sailor began to eat nothing but the purple fruit, and he dreamt all the night and most of the day. Beautiful dreams in which he was truly happy, and so were his wife and children. Little by little, he forgot about building his boat that was going to take him home, and whenever the occasional ship passed the island, he never even noticed it, and the fire remained unlit. Thus, although the sailor returned home time and time again in his dreams, the years passed, and still he remained on that desert island. One day, however, a tall ship entered the bay and sent a search party ashore to gather fresh water and fruit. There came across the ragged figure of the sailor, sleeping happily under a fruit tree, a purple fruit tree. They could not wake him, however hard they tried, and so they picked him up and carried him down to the ship. There they had placed him in a bed and put to sea once more. When the sailor eventually awoke and learnt what had happened, his rescuers expected him to leap for joy, but instead he cried out, "Oh, now I shall never be truly happy again, for I shall never be able to eat any more of the purple fruit." There was no going back, however, and eventually they returned him to his own country. There he made his way home at long last. When he got there, he found it had all changed from his dreams, for he had been away so long that his children had grown up, and the pretty young wife that he had left behind had grown old with work and care. Nevertheless, he took her in his arms and said, "Why, I am as happy now as I was in my dreams on the island of purple fruits." But his wife said, "How can you compare the happiness of a dream with true happiness?" "But it was true happiness," replied the sailor. "No one could be happier than I was in those dreams." But his wife looked at him and said, "In your dreams on the island of purple fruits, did you dream that we were happy too?" "Indeed I did," said the sailor, "and that made my happiness complete." "Yes, it was just a dream," and his wife, "for we were still sad, believing you were dead, but now you have returned to us. You know it's not a dream, and that knowledge surely is true happiness." The sailor kissed his wife and children, and after that, although he often thought of the island of purple fruits and the happiness of dreams, he never spoke of either again. Did that story remind you of another story? Not a fairy tale, but a legend told by the Americans in New England. Anybody have any ideas? How about the story of Rip Van Winkle? If you don't know who he was, look it up, because sometimes it's a clue in a crossword puzzle, and sometimes it's referred to in a book. You need to know. There you go. Bye for now.